to paint some lemons today, specifically this lemon. We're only going to use 3 colors. I can't make black from these 3 colors. We will be adding a black. If you're going to make a realistic lemon, there are shadows and bounce light going on. And plus we got the cardboard, which is like this brownish color. I'm going to use just the yellow, magenta, and cyan. These are the typical colors that are used in printers. With these 3 colors, you can get all of these colors. Technically, we should be able to paint practically anything. The purpose of a 3-color challenge is to practice mixing. And with watercolors, you can mix in several different ways. You can mix on the palette and you can mix on the paper. And we're going to do both. So I'm going to do this lemon right here. With watercolors, you want to start with the lightest color and then layer with darker colors and darker colors. So you work your way up from light to dark. All right. Now the first layer is all yellow except for this area right here where there is a lot of white. So we're going to make everything yellow. With watercolors, to keep the paper as white as possible, you just don't paint there. They make some white watercolor that you can use in case of an emergency, but it just doesn't, to me, it doesn't look the same as just keeping the paper as white as possible. There we go. It's pretty amazing that just with these 3 colors, you can technically get all the other colors. I still find that amazing. And if this turns out really good, I might actually do this with a majority of my paintings, just using these 3 colors in black. That would be helpful for workshops that I do. If I can save some of the students some money by saying all you have to do is buy 4 tubes of paint and then I'll show you how to mix them. That would be pretty cool. All right, so there we go. We got the first layer. This highlight could look better. The trick with realism is getting stronger observation skills. And the good news is none of us were born with incredible observation skills. It's a skill that you learn and develop over time. And you can even be getting better as an artist by just learning to observe things. So when you don't have a paintbrush, you don't have a paper to practice, just practice observing things. What color would I use? What color would I have to mix to get that color in the sky? You know, how would I get that texture? Like, and just be observing what is already right there in front of you, and you will get better even away from the paper. So that's our first layer. When you're new to watercolors, you just don't know better, but some people would just start painting over this, but we're going to dry it. I am not using a blow dryer because it pushes the air, and if you have a lot of water on your paper, you push the water. We don't want to do that. So the heat gun just pushes out heat. And it's not crazy loud, so I can use this while I'm live streaming or doing a workshop, and I can keep talking and people can hear what I'm saying. This heat gun, I think, was like $15 on Amazon. Totally worth it. If you want to learn watercolor, you can join my watercolor community for free on the school app. I have some tutorials and things on there that I don't have anywhere else. Also, if you have a hard time finishing your paintings, join one of my online workshops and I will help you get from beginning to end. So this is pretty dry. And when I check it by touching with the back of my fingers so I don't put oils that I have on the front of my fingers. This is going to look a little bit weird before it looks better. So I'm using the magenta and I'm just noticing that there is some orange here, and that magenta is going to mix with that yellow and create some of that orange. It gets dark here, so we can put a little bit more of that magenta. Right here, that's fine. It's also a pretty dark shadow here, and it gets pretty warm right at the edge of that shadow and comes up to about here. Right. I like all types of art. I do cartooning. I do I do lots of different types of art, but one of my favorites is realism. I like seeing what's already there, the beauty that's already in front of us, and then if I can capture it, there's something beautiful about capturing it in a medium. Some people say like AI is gonna, get rid of artists, and I don't think so, because art isn't just about the end result. It's about the journey. Like a lot of us artists do art for therapy. AI can't take that away from us. So I don't think AI will get rid of us artists. Like there's just too much good stuff that happens in the process of creating. So it's not about the end result all the time. It's about the journey. Plus, now I might be different than other people, but when I go to like a gallery, I want to see up close the brush strokes. I want to see how they did it. I want to, and there's something almost magical about seeing the paint and how it was put on the canvas or on the paper, seeing the brush strokes that an artist like took the time to create and layer and manage to find almost the essence of that thing that they were creating. I think it's so beautiful. Now, if we want to fade this better, we just get some of that yellow. We come back in, and with that yellow, we can fade this better, make a better gradient. Plus, it really does get pretty yellow right over here. Let's see, it gets pretty intense over here too. All right, now we'll start to go into some of the shadow areas. And we'll use the cyan blue for that. It gets really yellow right here, so I gotta put that yellow back in. So this also is a little bit more yellow. I got to take away some of that magenta color. Just putting more yellow on top of it. This is what I mean by mixing on the paper. You might prefer mixing it on the palette first. And it's whatever you're more comfortable with, really. I'll do a combination of both. Now I soften this edge right here by going over it with more paint and water and just reactivating the harsh edge that was there. Now it's a softer edge. In the past, I would have just started adding my blues, but I got to be careful. If I add blue right now, because this layer is not dry, I will be in danger of not just mudding it up, but actually lifting some of the paint that's there. So I'm going to dry it, and then we'll apply the blue. One of the things that I have in common with Robin Williams is we're both extremely funny, and I have hairy arms. That was a joke. I mean, actually, it's all true, but all right. When you're drawing, you're allowed to say jokes. All right, now we're going to get some of this blue. We want quite a bit of blue, and we want it watered down so we don't create too much of a green look. All right, so at first it looks blue, then it looks green, and then it's going to start mixing in with some of the colors underneath, and it will actually turn into a very nice shadow color. And if it doesn't, if it stays green, we will fix it. No problem. A lot of your anxiety about watercolor will go away when you realize there is pretty much a fix for anything. And if you spend time with me, I will be showing you how to fix anything, because no matter how good you are as an artist, every artist makes mistakes, and you just have to know how to fix that. So I will share with you guys a lot of ways to fix things. All right, so right now it is looking a lot quite green. That's okay. The next layer can fix a lot of that. We do want it darker in here, so we'll just put some more blue there. It's okay. We'll just cover that all up. All right, now we'll put this blue in here with move it around. I want to leave some areas not so blue because it's reflecting yellow. But in this area, it can get bluer. Okay. All right. Now we want to go in with a clean, dry brush and help dissipate some of this so it doesn't create harsh lines like that. And the texture of the paper is already, I don't know if you can see that, but it's creating beautiful texture that looks like lemon texture, doing the work for us. So cool. So when I first started off with watercolors, I did not know how to mix colors, how to get the colors I wanted. I've learned a lot in a very short time because I picked up watercolors about 2 years ago. And I wanted to learn watercolor because an artist said, if you can learn watercolor, you can learn, no, she said, if you can master watercolor, you can master anything. And I was like, well, I want to get better at art. And so challenge accepted. And then I was like, I committed to practicing watercolor for 1 year. I was like, I'll just practice it for 1 year and then I'll go back to oil paints and pastel pencils. And, but I never went back. I ended up falling in love with watercolor, which I never thought I would say, because I had a art teacher tell me when I was a kid to avoid watercolor. It's just frustrating. It will just, you know, cause you headaches because you can't control it. And I was like, okay, I believed her, and I avoided it for most of my life. And I am so glad I met this artist who said, if you can master watercolor, you can master anything. Watercolor has become a joy. And I really am shocked that I'm saying that, because I did believe that watercolor is something you cannot control. You can't fix, it's unforgiving. And that's just not true. The more you realize how water works, you can use it in your favor to accomplish what you really want. And it's almost magical. It's really cool. I want to put in that yellow more right there. And then the more you practice, the more you realize like when you can go over an area and when you need to let an area dry before you go over it. That all comes with practicing. You'll get the hang of it. You'll start to just, it's like a language. At first, when you're learning a language, you're like, man, this is challenging. But once you start to understand the language, you're able to pick it up and almost not even think, you just start communicating with it. And same with watercolor. Once you know the language, you just start communicating with it. You know how the water works. You know how much water you need in your brush. You know how much paint you need in your brush. And then you just start creating. And like a new language, you first have to learn the letters, then words, then put them in sentences. Then all of a sudden you're creating poems and stories and communicating so well with it. Same with watercolors. It is a language that you can learn, and it's a beautiful language to learn. They call it a window to other paints. Like if you can learn watercolors, you really can master almost any medium. You learn so much using watercolor. But I think one of the things that helped me, that will help you if you're new to watercolor and you're trying to do this for the long run, is have that mindset that the artist put in me, which is if you can master watercolor, you can master anything. What does that tell you? That tells you that there is mastery to be done. There is something to master. There's some challenge. I did not expect to learn watercolor like it was easy. I expected a challenge. So in that first year, I definitely felt the challenge of watercolor. Like there was times where I'm like, man, it would be so easy to just get out my oil paints and pastels and just knock this painting out. I could do this so easy with those. But I did commit to watercolor for 1 year, and so I just kind of had to suffer through paintings that I could have done better in other mediums. If you're a perfectionist, you know what I'm talking about. It's hard to keep going on something that you know you could do better in another, another, what's it called, medium. But if you can master watercolor, you can master anything. It's worth it, I believe. All right, we're going to dry this. Looks a little too green, but we'll fix that with some more magenta, and we will be using some black to get even darker there. But we got to dry it first. This drying moment is brought to you by Harry Arm for Men brand. I just made that up. I get my hair from my dad. Be weird if I said from my mom. My mom was so hairy. She wasn't. I get my height from my mom. She's 4'10". I'm taller than that, but my dad's almost 6 feet, and I'm definitely take after my mom's shortness. Okay, so this is a little bit dry. Yeah, it's dry enough. We'll put in a little bit of magenta to just warm up this area a little bit. So there's that magenta. We'll put that in right here too. Like that. I don't know if you noticed, but I took some magenta and I took some yellow. I mixed it in on my palette to create this orange right here that I want to bring into the painting. Already orange. Take a little bit of magenta and warm up this area right here. And we'll warm up this area here. In watercolors, you have to just know that the very first couple to 3 layers are the ugly stage, and you have to push through it. Know that with each new layer, you will be able to make it more and more like what you're looking at, what you're trying to capture. Typically, when people are taught watercolors, they're taught to just choose your color and like crayons, just color it in and do the whole painting in one go. But watercolors are actually you're meant to layer and to create depth in the colors that you really want. All right, this could do with even more of that magenta. All right, coming along, coming along. This is pretty orange here, so I'm gonna just put this in to warm this up a little bit. I want to get my yellow and work into here, keeping this yellow as possible, and then I want to get this yellow part right here really yellow, so I'm going in a circular motion and pushing away some of that magenta around there, moving it over a little bit. All right, now I can come back in with this. I can darken it a little bit and I can put in some magenta. I can even get a little bit about this blue and start creating some of the shadow right here. So magenta, a little bit of blue. You saw me mix it before I put it down. I'm using 100% cotton Arches paper. It's my favorite paper. This is the 150-pound paper, and it's such a tough paper. You can put layer after layer on it, and it's just really tough paper, and I appreciate that. Now I'm mixing on the paper. And see, I don't like how that's not smoothed out, so I just got to get the lemon color. I think I need a little bit more of it in my brush. I just go over it again like that. Bam. Maybe a little bit more. Just put in. There we go. By putting this yellow over everything right here, we're just kind of unifying it all. Now this kind of sweeps down, and I want to capture that. So I need some more magenta here. So it sweeps down. And then tucks away back here and goes over here. All right. Okay, it's coming along. Now we're gonna let that dry and we'll add some black to it. Spend 29 minutes. Doing all right. If you guys like this, please let me know in the comments if it's worth your time that I share these little techniques and tips I'm learning. I'll be happy to do more. All right, let's see. I'll continue to use the same brush. It's kind of a medium size brush, almost borderline large. And I'm going to get some of that black, and I want a good amount of water. Don't want it too black on the first go. It is very black here, so I start in the area that's the darkest. And one of the magical principles of watercolor is that the more you paint with the brush, the less paint is in your brush, and so you can make some really nice gradients as you go. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to the dark areas first, like this. And as the paint it gets less and less, I can go in and lighten it like this. Still getting rid of some of that black. There we go. Trying to go in the direction of the skin of the lemon. Now before that dries a harsh line, I can come back in and push some of this around a little bit, and there we go. Come back in and make this come over here. Right, see that harsh line? I don't really want that, and I don't want these harsh lines. So I just clean my brush, dry it a little bit, get my yellow, which I'm running out of, and I just go back in these areas, reactivate the color underneath, the black we just put in, we just lighten it with the yellow, make it blend better. Same right here. Here. All right, we need some more of that yellow. All right. So let's put in some of that yellow here, and let's get some of this magenta and warm it up a little bit like that. Yeah, just warm it up. In fact, let's warm up this whole area right here a little bit. Clean. Oh, I forgot. When you put down paint fresh out of the tube, it is already very wet. You do not have to add a lot of water on there. So here we go. We're just kind of unifying the area, going over it with this yellow. We will need to put make it more noticeable, these little highlights. Now we can put in little dots for texture. And we can add a little bit more black over here. We want the black to just kind of disappear into this black shadow right here. So we'll just add that black again over that shadow. We also want this black more on this side too. We want this more black, darker over here. Just get some more water so I can spread this around. Just like that. This area could get just a tad bit darker. So I'm gonna bring this area down a shade darker like that. All right, and then we can break up some of this. We can break up like with little little circular motions to create like a texture there. If you don't like it, you can just go back over it, take that away. All right. I do like how it is a little bit, there is a little bit of orangey, little bit of magenta right there on the edge. Warms it up right there. There we go. All right, and it gets darker there, so I'll take some of that black. It's probably a little bit too much. There we go. And I'll show you a little fix because I went over a little bit too much. Right here I went over. So I'll show you what to do in that case because that's a common, very common mistake that happens while painting. All right. To control the paint and how you want it to look, sometimes you have to go fast, and then other times you just have to wait till it dries because either you didn't go fast enough or it's such a big area you couldn't have gone fast enough to blend everything the way you wanted. So a lot of growing as a watercolor artist is just figuring out when you need to speed up and when you need to just slow down. Here's another area where it's like, okay, that was too much. You don't need to panic. You just need to dissipate it. You can do it by spreading it out like that, cleaning your brush. Now with a dry brush, I can come back in and dissipate it some more. It's going to soak up now that it's a dry brush, it's going to act like it's thirsty. So it will actually start to take some of the um, some of the paint that's there. It will start to take it up. And it turns into a happy accident, creating some neat little textures. Notice my brush is frayed. I'm using that to my advantage right now. I'm creating lots of texture with the frayed brush. In the past, I used to think to create all that texture, you had to have like one little fine point and do every detail one by one. But a faster way to do it is to just learn how to use a frayed brush. Frayed brush means like a brush with a bad hair day. All right, so this area that I said I went over a little bit, it's an easy fix. You just get a clean brush. I want to use a smaller brush so I have just a little bit more control. I wet the area like that, just wetting it. Now that it's activated, I can get my little paper towel and I can soak it up like that. So no problem. Same with this area right here. Just activate it. And it takes about 15 seconds to start really reactivating the paint that was dry. And then you can go back in and soak it up, just like that. I hope you guys enjoy this challenge. And if you do this challenge, please join my watercolor community for free on the school app. The link is in the bio. And post your artwork on there. I would love to see it. And I think you'll be inspired by the awesome community that's already there.